The combined effects of multidimensional crises at a global level in the energy, food, environmental, and transportation sectors, and the accumulated impact of 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic have shaped a complex international context. Inserted in this reality, Cuba has had to face, on top of that, the unprecedented tightening of the US blockade, which includes additional very aggressive measures imposed during the administration of Donald Trump, and which, for the most part, are still enforced as a continuation of the policy of maximum pressure against our country. Since 2019, the blockade has escalated to a qualitatively more harmful and inhuman dimension with a reinforced extraterritorial component. The lawsuit filed under Title III of the Helms-Burton Act, the persecution of companies, ships, and shipping companies that send fuel supplies to the country, the arbitrary and unjustified inclusion of Cuba on the State Department's list of states sponsors of terrorism, the attack on all sources of income and foreign currency entering the country, the intimidation of third parties, and the reinforcement of pressure on governments, banking institutions, and businessmen around the world have been consolidated as an essential part of the US strategy to isolate Cuba and provoke economic disruption. The continued full application of the Helms-Burton Act, including the authorization to file lawsuits in US courts under its Title III, further expanded the scheme to hinder Cuba's economic, commercial, and financial relations with third countries. As of the end of July 2022, 13 lawsuits were pending in US courts under this extraterritorial law. Cuba's permanence on the list of state sponsors of terrorism has reinforced the deterrent and intimidating impact of the blockade, as well as the country's difficulties in engaging in international trade and financial operations. This has resulted in the closing of contracts, loss of relations with banking entities that usually worked with Cuba, indebtedness, delays in the sending and receiving of funds and goods, among other difficulties, with a lot of cost and consequences for the Cuban people and our economy. Under conditions of a true economic war, the US government has unleashed a pernicious media campaign in an attempt to destabilize the country. They resort to lies, slander, manipulation of data, images, and the most diverse methods of unconventional warfare to generate political destabilization and the so-called regime change in clear violation of the principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of states. As you know, the American blockade that was imposed officially in 1962 has been in place for more these years. And since 1992, every year, the General Assembly of the United Nations have rejected by most of the international community these sanctions. And since then, only two countries in the international community are supporting these sanctions. It's United States, of course, and its ally Israel. The rest of the international community has been voting for the last 30 years, every year, against these sanctions. We are feeling that our situation is very difficult. Our people is suffering, it is true, but we can assure you that our principles have been very solid, and our people is decided and committed to face these sanctions and to be sure that we are going to triumph, we are going to have the victory at the end of the road. The United States are the only one who are isolated. Cuba is counting with the solidarity of the international community. Thank you very much.